Suzune Horikita was another character from Clash of the Elite that I really enjoyed her character development because throughout the series we've seen how much she has grown as a character, because from the beginning of the series there's been a lot of things that I didn't really like about Horikita as a character, but as the series went on I went on to enjoy her character development because she has changed ever since the beginning of the series towards the end. Now granted, Horikita as a character, I don't think she's like my personal favorite character. That would be Kay, and I even made a video talking about why I think Kay is the best female character in Clash of the Elite, but Horikita's up there. She's not my personal favorite, but she's still a good character in the series. And the reason why I like her character is because of the amount of character development she got throughout the entire series. Because at first, she was this character that would always give people the cold shoulder. She didn't want to talk to the other classmates. She didn't want to make friends because according to her in the beginning, she believed that if you have friends and if you try to work with other people, you're not going to accomplish your own goals, and you may not be able to reach your goals because you're too busy dealing with so many people that in her eyes they're seen as more as obstacles than as people she could work with in order to achieve her goal. And what is her goal exactly? Well, her goal is to get into Class A. You see, Horikita was placed in Class D, the same class Anakoji is in. Now, the reason why she was placed Class D was because she had a habit of not working with people. She couldn't work with other people. It seems that teamwork was not something she was willing to do. Sure, she did have good grades and her physical abilities were also good as well, but the main problem as to why Horikita was placed into Class D was mainly due to the fact that she could not work with other people. And still, she believes that was a mistake. She believes that she did deserve to be in Class A, so there was some sort of mistake and now she's placed in Class D. Although the one person who disagrees with that entirely is none other than our main protagonist himself, Anakoji. You see, when Horikita told Anakoji what's her goals and her plan to reach that goal, Anakoji saw many mistakes in her plan. For one thing, she planned on doing this solo, so she didn't want anybody's help. She believed that if she worked with others, she wasn't going to get near her goal. However, that is something Anakoji disagreed with. He saw as Horikita with someone with full potential that could even lead the class. However, her stubbornness and her line of thinking was holding her back because she believed that as long as she was doing it by herself and as long as she didn't involve herself with other people, she was going to reach Class A, which is something that even Anakoji himself realized that was not going to happen. There was no way someone could just get into Class A just like that, just with that mentality. There was going to be at one point in their time at school that they're going to have to work together in order to reach Class A. That part was obvious, and it's kind of surprising here that from Anakoji, the guy who literally just wants to lay low and not be involved, even he realized that at some point he's going to have to work with other people at some point. And this line of thinking from Horikita doesn't stop there. This was shown in the island exam arc where Horikita did not want to contribute to anything. It seemed that she just was expecting to do everything by herself without other people involved, and because of that their class almost lost, and they probably would have gotten last place if it wasn't for Anakoji coming up with a plan to save their class. Now at that moment you may be thinking that maybe at that whole event probably would have gotten Horikita to realize that she needed to work with other people, but sadly that doesn't happen for a while, because in the sports festival arc when Class D is losing, Horikita doesn't want to contribute it, and instead she just lists a bunch of reasons as to why they may be losing, which at this point Anakoji got sick and tired of hearing her say all this stuff, because at that point he was just finally done with her. So he confronts her and just pretty much tells her that she needs to start working with people, because at that point she is not going to be in Class A if she doesn't start working with people, because sooner or later she's going to have to work with people, because if she doesn't work with people she's not going to be in Class A anytime soon. After this confrontation, Horikita starts to reevaluate what her line of thinking was and seems to agree with what Anakoji is saying. And because of this confrontation, it seems that Horikita now is starting to slowly change. It was shown in volume 6 when she's actually starting to contribute to the class during the Payful Shuffle exam arc, in which she actually was giving ideas on how to pass this exam with the class, which is something that Anakoji was relieved to see, because it's clear that Horikita does have leadership skills, and if she keeps going, she's probably going to be a good leader for their class. Now you may be saying, what's her actual goal into reaching Class A? It's very clear that Horikita is determined to reach Class A no matter what, and it seems to be that there's something else going on, and that will be revealed pretty soon, because as it turns out, Horikita's older brother Manabu is somebody that she looks up to. She appreciates her brother, she has a ton of respect for her brother, but at the same time she is scared of her brother because she feels inferior to him, which is why she believes that once she gets into Class A she will get her brother's recognition. And that is something that is simply not true, because Manabu reveals later on with Anakoji in volume 11 that the reason why he doesn't like her sister Horikita is is because she is trying to be just like him in everything he does. You see, Manabu is an exceptional student. He was not only the student council president, he got good grades, was already set for graduation by the end of his 3rd year, so it's very clear that Manabu has made a ton of accomplishments and has been a very successful student throughout his school life, which is why Horikita was so determined to reach to class A, because she believed that once she reached class A, she would get her brother's recognition because she's just like him. Even though in Manabu's perspective, she was trying way too hard to be like him and just following his path instead of following her own path and being a different person. That's one thing that Manabu did not like about Horikita, and it was the fact that she was trying to be too much like him instead of being her own person and following her own path, which is why he believed that if he ignored her and treated her harshly, she would stop trying to be like him. However, this is the opposite effect, and this seemed to have made Horikita more convinced that she needed to get to class A in order to get her brother's recognition, which was simply not the case whatsoever, which reveals how much of a fragile character Horikita is. Sure, she may seem like this tough, serious person that seems to not be bothered by anything, but her relationship with her brother seems to say the opposite. It's very clear that she's just so determined to be just like her brother because she believes that if she's like her brother, he would recognize her, not knowing the fact that she doesn't have to follow her brother's footsteps, she could follow her own path. And that's one thing I like about Horikita as a character, the fact that we now understand why she behaves and acts a certain ways, because she's trying way too hard to be her brother, which is something that makes her even more interesting because we want to see how she overcomes that. And when will she realize that she has to be her own person? She doesn't have to follow her brother's footsteps in order to get his recognition. Maybe there's something else. Maybe there's another way to get his recognition. That is something that throughout the series I wanted to see from Horikita, and I got that in volume 11.5 when Manabu was already about to leave because he already completed his 3 years in the high school. It seems that this would be the final time Horikita gets to talk to his brother until she herself graduates, and at first it didn't seem like Horikita was confident enough to say goodbye to her brother and to see him once again because she still wasn't confident enough to face her own brother. It seemed that she still was kind of scared into talking to her brother, but that all changed when, during the last minute when Manabu was just about to leave, Horikita comes and tells her brother that she was wrong into following his footsteps because she now realizes that she has to follow her own path and be her own person, which is something that Manabu is shocked to hear because all this time he believed that she was never going to change whatsoever. He believed that Horikita was just going to try to be him throughout her entire school life, and this is something that I appreciate the character development because we went from seeing Horikita being this stubborn, cold, serious person into now her realizing that her line of thinking was wrong. She had to work with other people in order to reach her goal. She didn't have to be like her brother in order to be recognized by him. No, as long as she did her own thing and she was her own person, her brother would recognize her because he himself has stated that she could surpass him if she wasn't trying to be just like him. If she was trying to be her own person, she could at one point surpass even him, which just shows you how he views her sister. It seems very clear that Manabu sees a ton of potential in Horikita, and this may be a satisfying ending as we see how the brother and sister have come together and reconciled. However, the reality is that Horikita did this in the last minute, and she herself came to that conclusion as soon as she saw Manabu leave. As soon as Manabu left the school and she saw him go, she realized that she talked to him only when he was about to leave. She realized that she had an entire year to probably talk to her brother all that time, but she didn't, and that's because she still didn't at that time realize that she was the one who had the wrong thinking. She always believed that if she followed her brother's footsteps, she would get recognized by him, but now realizing that that was not the case, and realizing that she had a wrong mindset all this time, she realized that she fixed her brother's relationship at the last minute when he was about to leave, meaning she will have to wait 2 years until she sees her brother again. And while she tries to not have any emotions at the moment, she tries to tough it out, it seems that that's not the case because Anakoji sees that she's about to cry and simply just tells her, "It's okay, you can cry." And with those words, Horikita just burst into tears. At that moment, she realized that even though she fixed her relationship with her brother, she did it at the last minute and she would have to wait 2 more years to see her brother again, which is sad because we got to see how she grew as a character and how she's starting to realize that once she was starting to become her own person, once she was changing the way she thinks, it was near the end when her brother was just about to leave. That is a character development that I think Horikita needed, because if she didn't have this kind of character development, she would have been one of my favorite characters. But because she realized that she was wrong, her line of thinking was wrong, she realized that she needed to work with other people in order to get to class A, and that's when I realized that Horikita just simply misunderstood what she was supposed to do. She wasn't supposed to follow her brother's footsteps. She had to just become her own person in order to get recognized by her brother. That's what I like about her as a character, because she acknowledged that what she was doing was wrong, but not only that, she actually tried to become a better person. She is now working with others to get to class A. She's not trying to give anyone the cold shoulder. She's not trying to not talk to anyone. No, she's actually trying now to work with other people so that she could get to her goal. And that is something that even Anakoji realizes, that once she's able to show her true skills and abilities, she could pretty much be a good leader. And I'm excited to see what she's going to do in the second year of Clash of the Elite, but we'll just have to wait till then. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire video. I'll see you next time.